After the fall of the Watchers, after the mysterious story of the angels who descended to the earth and altered the course of human history, a new question began to grow among those who studied the ancient traditions. If those powerful celestial beings had crossed the boundary between heaven and earth, if they had interfered with humanity and disrupted the order of creation, then what happened to Enoch, the man the Bible describes in such a strange and mysterious way? In the book of Genesis, his story appears almost like a quiet whisper hidden between generations. The text simply says that Enoch walked with God. Then suddenly, it declares that he was no more, because God took him. No explanation follows. No description is given. The narrative moves forward as if something extraordinary had happened, yet the writer leaves the moment wrapped in silence. And that silence has fascinated readers for centuries. Because whenever a sacred text refuses to explain an event, curiosity grows stronger. People begin asking questions the text itself never answers. Did Enoch die like every other human being? Or was he taken alive into another realm? Did he see something that no man had ever witnessed before? And perhaps the most intriguing question of all is this: why was Enoch chosen? Among all the people living in that generation, why was this particular man selected for such an extraordinary encounter? The second book of Enoch attempts to answer that mystery with a far more detailed narrative. According to this ancient tradition, Enoch was not only a righteous man, he was also chosen to witness the hidden structure of the heavens themselves. One day, while Enoch was inside his house, something unexpected happened. Two beings suddenly appeared before him. At first, they looked like men, but their presence revealed something far beyond human nature. Their faces shone with a brightness like the sun itself. Their eyes burned with a fire that seemed alive. Their garments appeared brighter than snow, illuminated by pure light. When Enoch saw them, fear filled his heart. Not the fear of danger, but the overwhelming awe that appears when a human being realizes he is standing before something far greater than himself. The two beings spoke calmly and told him not to be afraid. They had been sent to bring him. Imagine hearing those words. Two celestial messengers appear in your home and announce that they have come to take you away from the earth. What would you do in that moment? Would you ask questions? Or would you simply stand there in silence, overwhelmed by a reality too powerful? According to the ancient story, Enoch obeyed, and from that moment, his journey began. The angels lifted him upward, and the earth slowly began to fade beneath him. The world he had always known, with its mountains, rivers, forests, and cities, became smaller and smaller until it seemed distant and unreal. As he rose higher into the heavens, Enoch realized that the sky above the earth was far from empty. From the ground, the heavens often appear calm and silent, a vast blue space stretching endlessly above. But from where he now traveled, the heavens were alive with movement. The first thing he saw was an enormous region filled with clouds. These were not ordinary clouds. They were arranged like vast reservoirs stretching across enormous distances. Within them, he saw mist, rain, snow, frost, and winds gathered together as if they were being prepared before descending upon the earth. Standing beside these immense formations were angels, whose responsibility seemed connected to these forces. Some watched over the winds, others guarded the storehouses of snow and ice, others appeared to control the release of rain. This vision alone challenged everything Enoch thought he understood about the world. On earth, storms appear suddenly, rain falls unpredictably, winds shift direction without warning. People often believe that these forces simply occur on their own. But from the perspective Enoch was now witnessing, nothing appeared random. Everything was organized. Everything had guardians. Everything served a purpose. The angels guiding Enoch continued to lead him upward, and soon he realized that this region was only the first level of the heavens. Beyond it existed other realms, each one revealing deeper mysteries about the structure of creation. When Enoch entered the second heaven, the atmosphere changed immediately. The activity he had just witnessed disappeared. Instead, the space around him became heavy and silent. It was there that he saw something deeply disturbing. Before him stood a group of angels who did not shine like the messengers guiding him. Their faces carried expressions of sorrow. Their presence felt heavy with regret. These beings were powerful, yet there was something broken about them. When Enoch asked the angels beside him who these beings were, the answer revealed something that shook him deeply. These were angels who had once belonged to heavenly orders, but had become connected to rebellion and disobedience. They were not free like the others. Instead, they remained here, waiting for the moment when judgment would finally come. The sight of those sorrowful angels remained in Enoch's mind as the heavenly messengers continued guiding him upward through the vast structure of the heavens. The silence of that second realm lingered like a shadow over his thoughts. Those beings had once stood among the radiant servants of heaven, yet now they waited in stillness, aware that their fate had already been sealed. Enoch began to understand something deeply unsettling. Even in the highest realms of existence, freedom and responsibility were inseparable. The universe itself was built upon order, and when that order was broken, the consequences echoed across creation. As he continued to ascend, the angels guiding him moved with calm certainty, as if the path they followed had existed since the beginning of time. Soon, the heavy silence of the second heaven began to fade, replaced by a new atmosphere that felt strangely peaceful. When Enoch entered the third heaven, the vision before him was unlike anything he had ever imagined. Instead of sorrow and judgment, he saw beauty beyond description. A vast garden stretched across the horizon, filled with trees whose branches glowed with life. The leaves shimmered as if touched by light that did not come from any sun. Rivers flowed through this place, with water so clear it seemed almost luminous, reflecting colors Enoch had never seen on earth. The air itself felt alive, carrying a sense of peace and purity that was impossible to describe with human language. As Enoch looked around in wonder, he realized that this place was not simply beautiful, it was alive with meaning. The angels explained that this region was connected to the place of life, the paradise prepared since ancient times. Here, the harmony of creation remained untouched by the corruption that had spread through the earth. For a moment, Enoch felt a deep sense of comfort, as if the weight of the world had been lifted from his shoulders. But that feeling did not last long, because as the angels continued guiding him through this realm, he noticed something that troubled him deeply. Not far from this garden of light existed another region entirely different. Instead of beauty and peace, this place was filled with darkness. The air there felt heavy, cold, and silent. It was a place prepared for those who had rejected what was good. Seeing these two realities so close together shocked Enoch. Paradise and judgment existed side by side within the structure of the heavens. This vision revealed something powerful about the nature of the universe. Creation was not simply divided into light and darkness in distant worlds. Instead, both possibilities existed within the same cosmic order. Reward and consequence were part of the same design. As Enoch continued observing this realm, a question began forming in his mind. Why had he been shown both beauty and judgment during the same journey? Perhaps the answer was meant to be understood by anyone hearing this story, because the universe itself reflects the choices made by those who live within it. Light exists for those who follow truth. Darkness exists for those who reject it. The angels did not allow Enoch to remain there long. They told him that what he had seen was only part of the revelation. Higher heavens still awaited beyond the third realm. Once again, the ascent continued. As they traveled upward, the air around Enoch seemed to grow brighter and more intense. The light in these higher regions did not resemble the light of the sun. Instead, it felt deeper, almost alive, as if it carried knowledge and power within it. When they arrived at the fourth heaven, Enoch witnessed something that completely changed the way he understood time itself. There he saw enormous movements across the sky, patterns so vast that no human on earth could ever observe them from below. The paths of the sun and the moon were visible before him, not as distant lights, but as enormous systems moving through precise routes. Angels stood beside these celestial paths like guardians of time itself. Some guided the movement of the sun, others watched over the course of the moon. Their responsibility seemed connected to the rhythm of days, months, and seasons. From the perspective of the world below, sunrise and sunset appear natural and automatic. But what Enoch now saw suggested something much deeper. The movement of time appeared to be maintained within a structure of order and balance. If these celestial paths were ever disrupted, the rhythm of the entire world would collapse. As Enoch watched these immense cycles unfold before him, he felt a growing sense of humility. Humanity often believes it understands the universe, yet what he saw revealed that most of reality remained hidden from human perception. The heavens were not empty space. They were a vast system filled with guardians, movements, responsibilities, and purpose. The angels guiding him continued forward. Soon, the fourth heaven faded behind them, and the journey carried Enoch into the fifth heaven. Here, he saw countless angels standing in enormous ranks that stretched across distances too vast to measure. Their forms shone with power and authority. Some appeared like living flames, bright yet perfectly controlled. Others moved like flashes of lightning, swift and precise. Despite their immense power, every one of them acted with perfect discipline. No movement was chaotic. No voice rose in conflict. Everything followed a harmony that seemed impossible to break. Enoch watched as some of these angels raised their voices in songs unlike anything heard on earth. Their voices were not simply music. The sound carried a resonance that seemed woven into the very fabric of the heavens. Other angels appeared to carry out responsibilities connected to the universe. Some seemed to record events. Some stood in silent watch, as if waiting for commands that would shape the future of the world. The deeper Enoch traveled into these realms, the clearer one truth became. Nothing in the universe existed without purpose. Everything was connected to a greater order that extended far beyond human understanding. As the journey continued, Enoch sensed that the heavens were preparing to reveal something even greater. The atmosphere became more solemn. The angels moved with greater reverence, as if approaching a region that demanded deeper respect. Enoch did not know what awaited him in the highest realms, but he could feel that his journey was leading towards something that would change him forever. As Enoch moved deeper into the higher regions of the heavens, he began to realize that every realm revealed not only beauty, but also responsibility. The universe he was witnessing was not simply a place filled with light and majestic beings. It was a living structure, an immense order, where every part existed for a reason. The angels guiding him continued to move with calm authority, and Enoch could sense that they were approaching another level of the heavens where even greater mysteries awaited. As they entered the next realm, the atmosphere shifted again. The brightness around him grew stronger, yet the light did not hurt his eyes. Instead, it felt pure, almost alive, as if the very air carried knowledge within it. This was the sixth heaven. Here, Enoch saw an enormous gathering of angels arranged in perfect order. Their numbers were beyond counting, stretching across distances so vast that the human mind could hardly comprehend them. Some of these beings appeared like living flames, their forms glowing with a radiance that seemed to come from within. Others stood in long rows like guardians of an unseen boundary, their expressions calm yet powerful. What surprised Enoch most was the harmony that filled this place. Despite the enormous number of beings present, there was no confusion, no disorder, no chaos. Everything moved according to a precise order that seemed to govern every action. Some angels moved across the heavens with incredible speed, carrying out responsibilities connected to the universe below. Others appeared to record events taking place throughout creation. Enoch noticed figures writing upon luminous scrolls, carefully preserving records of things happening in the world of humanity. When he asked the angels beside him about this, they explained that the deeds of people were not forgotten. Every action, every word, every choice left a trace within the greater story of creation. Hearing this filled Enoch with a deep sense of humility. On earth, people often believe their actions disappear into time. Moments pass and are forgotten. But what he now saw suggested something entirely different. Human lives were not meaningless fragments of time. They were part of a larger history being observed and remembered within the heavens themselves. As he continued to look around this realm, Enoch noticed something else. Some angels appeared to be responsible for guiding the forces that shaped the future of the world. They did not act randomly. Their movements seemed connected to events that had not yet happened. It was as if the universe itself was being carefully guided toward a purpose that only heaven fully understood. The angels guiding Enoch continued to lead him forward. The deeper he traveled into the heavens, the more intense the atmosphere became. A sense of reverence filled the air. Even the angels escorting him moved with greater care now, as though they were approaching a place where the presence of divine authority was stronger than anywhere he had seen before. Soon Enoch realized that he was entering the seventh heaven, the highest realm he would be permitted to witness during his journey. The moment he crossed into this region, the brilliance of the light increased beyond anything he had previously experienced. Yet this light was not overwhelming. It carried a purity that seemed to reach deep into the soul. Before him stood countless hosts of angels, more numerous and more majestic than those he had seen before. Their garments shone like living fire, yet their movements were peaceful and perfectly controlled. Some stood in vast assemblies, raising their voices in songs that filled the heavens with sound unlike anything heard on earth. Their voices blended together in harmony so powerful that it seemed to vibrate through the very structure of creation. Enoch realized that this was not simply music, it was worship. The angels were expressing the truth of creation itself through their voices. Each sound carried meaning. Each note reflected the order and glory of the universe they served. Among these immense hosts stood beings whose presence was even more radiant than the others. Their authority was unmistakable. These were the highest servants of heaven, beings whose responsibilities were connected to the throne of divine power itself. The angels guiding Enoch stopped and bowed their heads in reverence. Enoch understood that he was standing in a place where the distance between humanity and the divine order was smaller than it had ever been before. The atmosphere in this realm was unlike anything he had felt during his journey. It was not only filled with light, it carried a profound sense of truth, as if every part of existence was exposed before the eyes of heaven. For a moment, Enoch felt small in a way he had never experienced before. Yet at the same time, he felt something else. A strange realization began to form in his mind. Humanity often believes it stands at the center of the universe. People think their struggles, ambitions, and conflicts define the meaning of existence. But what Enoch now saw revealed a far greater reality. The universe was vast beyond imagination, filled with countless beings, systems, and responsibilities that had existed long before humanity appeared on Earth. And yet, despite that vastness, the actions of human beings were still being observed and recorded. The journey had revealed something both humbling and profound. Humanity was small, yet it was not insignificant. As Enoch continued standing in this extraordinary realm, he began to understand that the purpose of his journey was not simply to witness the heavens. He had been brought here to learn something about the nature of creation itself. The order he had seen in the heavens reflected a truth that applied even to the world of humanity. Every action mattered. Every choice carried weight. Nothing in the universe existed without purpose. The angels guiding him then spoke again, their voices calm yet filled with authority. They told Enoch that what he had seen would one day become a message for the generations of humanity. The structure of the heavens, the order of creation, and the reality of judgment were truths that humanity needed to understand, because the world below often forgets that it is part of something much greater. As Enoch looked once more across the vast hosts of heaven, he realized that his journey was approaching its final revelation. The greatest mystery of all still awaited him. As Enoch stood within that highest realm he had been permitted to see, surrounded by hosts of radiant beings whose voices moved through the heavens like living waves of worship, he realized that his journey had never been only about what his eyes could witness. Every heaven he had crossed, every order of angels he had seen, every region of beauty, silence, sorrow, and light had been preparing him for a deeper understanding. The structure of the universe was not random. The heavens were not empty. Creation was not drifting without direction. Everything was ordered, observed, sustained, and held together by a reality far greater than anything humanity could perceive from the earth. For the first time, Enoch understood just how limited human vision truly is. Men look at the sky and see distance. They look at time and see passing days. They look at history and see a chain of events. But what he had now witnessed revealed something entirely different. Behind the visible world, there existed an order that stretched across realms of glory, judgment, memory, authority, and purpose. And yet, the most astonishing truth was not only that the heavens were vast, it was that humanity, small as it is, still mattered within that vastness. The angels who had brought him this far did not leave him alone in his thoughts for long. One of them spoke and told him that the things he had seen were not shown to him merely to satisfy curiosity. He had not been taken from the earth to become a spectator of celestial wonders. He had been brought here because he was to carry knowledge, to receive understanding, and to become a witness to truths that human beings had almost forgotten. That statement alone must have weighed heavily on his soul. To see the heavens is one thing. To be told that you must return with the burden of what you have seen is something very different. Because how could a man ever explain such things to people who had never left the earth? How could he speak of heavenly orders, angelic hosts, regions of light and judgment, cosmic cycles, and divine authority to a generation still consumed by ordinary concerns? Perhaps that is one of the questions that gives this story so much power even now. What happens when someone encounters a reality far greater than the world around him? Can he ever speak about it in a way others will understand? Or does he return carrying a truth too large for ordinary language? As Enoch listened, the angelic voices surrounding him continued their songs. But now, he began to hear them differently. At first, they had sounded simply majestic, overwhelming, beautiful beyond anything earthly ears had known. Now, he began to sense that their worship itself was part of the order of the heavens. It was not decoration. It was not a ritual performed out of habit. It was a response to truth. The beings of heaven worshipped because they stood within the direct awareness of divine reality. Their praise flowed from what they knew. They had seen the order behind creation, the justice that governs it, the wisdom that sustains it, and the glory that exceeds all comparison. On earth, worship can become empty words repeated without thought. But here, in the heavens, worship was alive because it rose from direct knowledge. That realization must have changed Enoch's understanding of devotion forever. And perhaps it should change ours as well. How often do people speak of God as an idea without any sense of weight, wonder, or awe? How often is heaven reduced to a symbol and eternity to a vague hope, rather than the overwhelming reality these ancient visions describe? As these thoughts moved through him, Enoch's attention was drawn again to the records he had seen in the higher heavens. Scrolls, books, luminous writings held and guarded by celestial beings. He had already been told that the deeds of humanity were not forgotten. But now, the meaning of that truth deepened. The heavens were not only ordered, they were attentive. Human life was not lost in silence. What people did on earth, what they chose, what they built, what they destroyed, what they spoke in secret, and what they carried in their hearts, all of it belonged to a larger account. This was not meant merely to frighten him. It was meant to reveal the weight of existence itself. On earth, people often live as if nothing lasts. Words are spoken carelessly. Promises are broken lightly. Violence is excused. Pride is rewarded. Compassion is postponed. But Enoch had now seen a reality in which nothing simply vanishes. Every life enters a story larger than itself. Every choice leaves a mark. Every generation adds something to the history observed from above. And if that is true, then human life is at once more fragile and more significant than most people ever imagined. The angels then showed him more clearly that the heavens are not disconnected from the earth. This is one of the most important truths in the entire journey. Many people imagine a complete separation between the visible world and the invisible one, as if heaven and earth barely touch. But Enoch's ascent revealed the opposite. The two are deeply connected. The order of the heavens shapes the rhythms of the earth. The condition of the earth is known in the heavens. Human history is not hidden above. The moral state of humanity matters. The suffering of the world matters. Corruption matters. Justice matters. Obedience matters. Nothing happens in isolation. The rebellion of angels once affected the earth. The corruption of men rises like a testimony before heaven. The movements of stars and seasons are sustained by a higher order. The world below is not abandoned. It is watched. This truth alone transforms the story of Enoch from a strange ancient vision into something deeply relevant. Because it means that history is not closed in on itself. The world is not left alone to drift without meaning. There is a greater frame around it. Whether humanity acknowledges it or not, Enoch was then instructed that the knowledge he had received was not for him alone. He was to return with understanding. He was to speak. He was to bear witness. But even that raises another difficult question. What happens to a man after such an encounter? Can he ever return to ordinary life unchanged? Can someone who has seen the heavens look at the earth in the same way again? Can he hear human arguments, ambitions, and fears without also remembering the larger order into which they all fit? The answer seems obvious. No one returns unchanged after beholding such things. The Enoch who began the journey was a righteous man living on earth. The Enoch who would return was now a witness shaped by heaven. He had seen the sorrow of fallen beings. He had seen paradise and the region of darkness. He had seen the movements of time, the order of celestial forces, the ranks of angels, the records of humanity, the intensity of worship, and the majesty of the highest heavens. He now knew that creation is moral, structured, watched, and purposeful. He now understood that existence is far more sacred than people realize. And perhaps that is the central message of the entire second book of Enoch. It is not only telling a story about one man taken into heaven. It is revealing that the universe itself is filled with meaning. Heaven is not distant in the sense of irrelevance. It is hidden, ordered, and active. Earth is not meaningless in the sense of insignificance. It is observed, recorded, and connected to a greater design. Human beings are not the center of all things, but neither are they unimportant. They live within a reality larger than themselves, and their choices echo farther than they know. As Enoch's journey drew near its end, one final truth settled in his heart. The heavens are not simply a place one reaches after death. They are a revelation of what reality truly is. The visible world is only part of the story. The invisible order behind it is greater, older, and more enduring than anything men build on earth. Kingdoms rise and fall. Generations come and go. Human pride expands and collapses. But the order of heaven remains. And in that realization, there is both warning and hope. Warning, because nothing humans do is without consequence. Hope, because the world is not governed by chaos in the end. Above the noise of history, above the ambitions of nations, above corruption, violence, and human forgetfulness, there remains a higher order that has not been shaken. That is what Enoch saw. Not merely strange sights or dazzling beings, but the truth that creation is held together by a reality far more glorious and far more serious than the world below ever imagines. And once a man has seen that, even if he returns to the earth, he no longer belongs to ignorance in the same way. He carries heaven within his memory, and that memory changes the meaning of everything that comes after.